Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great Wednesday afternoon. Or I guess it's nighttime. Today I wanted to talk about this myth of the magical meal plan, the myth of the magical diet. And so one of you had asked me a question, I'd love to see a 7-day meal plan. And back in the day, I would have sent you one. And now, over the last few years, what I've found is when you follow a meal plan, it works until it doesn't. And then you go to the next meal plan and it works till it doesn't. Then you go to the next meal plan and it works until it doesn't. And so you never take the time, or most people don't take the time to check in and say, hey, how does this food make me feel? Hey, is this working for me? Is this working for my lifestyle? Instead, you get caught up in the plan. And I always screw up this saying, but one of the best things that kind of got me out of that habit of the meal plan is if you give a woman a fish, she fishes for a day. If you teach a woman to fish, she eats for a lifetime. So my plan when I work with my clients is that I teach them how to fish so that there's never that time when there is an event, you're going to a restaurant, hell, it's Thanksgiving next week. There's never a time that you're saying to yourself, well, it's not on this piece of paper. What do? I don't get that panicked email. I don't get that panicked text because you're out of that element. What I'd like to do is teach you about food, educate you so that you never have to go on a diet again. And you never have to worry about, am I eating the right thing? The bulk of you guys in this group, the beauty is that you guys know a lot of stuff. You are super smart. And it's now just a matter of applying what you know and feeling confident in what you're applying and tracking it. And one of the things I've had to go back to is if I had to go back to tracking my food. I track my food in my head. And if you ask me on any given day what I've had, I could tell you from the moment I got up to the moment I went to bed. But now that I am working with this RD to figure out what's going on with my hormones, she's like, I need to see it on paper. Show me your work. And I was like, you're right, absolutely. And it's a chore. It's an absolute chore, and I get it. But now I've built it into my schedule that before I go to bed, I literally sit down and I go meal by meal by meal what I ate. So how do you know what to eat? How do you, without having this meal plan, how do you know what to eat? So the best thing I can say is I can post in the group a clean eating grocery list. It doesn't have every food on the planet, but it has, I'd say 80% of the food on the planet. And the best way to do is just go through that list and highlight, these are the foods I like. Then the second thing is to go through and say, okay, on all the meals that I eat, is there a meal that I need to get better at? Is there a meal that I need to get better at? Hey, Monica. And then when you say, okay, let's just use lunch. You're like, you know what? I really stink at lunch. I find I either work through lunch or I nibble my way and then I forget, I don't really eat lunch. So it's like, I'm going to focus on making lunch better. So it's figuring out, okay, I need a good protein, I need some vegetables, I need some fruits, and that's how I'm going to make a good lunch. So for me, the best way I make a good lunch, I work at home 80% of the time. So I still batch cook my food. So I will cook up, when I was eating meat, I would cook up, chicken breasts, turkey meatballs on a Sunday afternoon. Then I would cook up some Brussels sprouts. I would cook up some sweet potatoes, and literally all of this would cook in the oven. My goal is to be in and out of the kitchen in an hour. So and this is all happening while I'm cooking my Sunday night dinner. And I would cook some chicken breasts, I would cook some, some turkey meatballs, I would roast some sweet potatoes, I'd roast some Brussels sprouts, throw that all in the oven, let it cook while I'm making my dinner. And that's my lunch for the week. And to keep it fresh, like I would also have some like spinach or some mixed greens. So I would put chicken breast on mixed greens, or chicken breast on spinach, or some combination, and I'd have a salad. I'd have turkey meatballs, and I would have turkey meatballs, sweet potatoes, and Brussels sprouts. That's a meal. In my vegan, I would have Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, and some spinach. That's my meal. So that's how I figured out, okay, this is how I'm just going to crush lunch and make sure I always have a great lunch. And so pick a meal that you know that you need to make better. Pick a meal that maybe you skip all the time, so you need to focus on it. And once that meal becomes really good, then guess what? You're going to focus on another meal. And it's step by step by step. All of you want to do this big, huge thing. And then you get frustrated because you're doing all this stuff, you're getting tired, you're getting exhausted, and you're not seeing any wins. When I take my goal and I break it down into like bite-sized chunks, I'm going to see more progress. And when I see more progress, it's our human psyche. When we see that there's changes happening, you get excited and you want to keep going. When you don't see any changes, you're like, why the hell am I doing this? I'm not doing it anymore. It's not working. I'm going back to what I was doing before. I know how that works. And it's step by step. The biggest thing I've been working on for me, not only in my health, but just in my life, is 2-week sprints. So instead of, I'm a goal setter. I love goals. It just keeps me motivated. So instead of me saying, so I have a big goal that's happening in February. So instead of me focusing on February, because that's kind of far away, I'm focusing on what can happen in the next 2 weeks. And in the next 2 weeks, I got a milestone on the 25th of November. So every single thing between now and the 25th of November is like, is that going to help me hit my date? Is that going to help me hit my goal? And it's inspiring and it's motivating because it's close. February seems so far, but the 25th, dude, that's next Friday. So every single step I'm taking is going towards next Friday, next Friday, next Friday. So if lunch is your thing, set a goal. So let's make it the 27th. I think that's like the 1st or 2nd of December would be the second 2-week sprint. And you're like, okay, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to focus on whatever that meal is that's not working well for you. And that's what you're going to focus on. Or maybe you don't grocery shop. So maybe your focus is, I'm going to be a great grocery shopper. And trust me, I don't really like grocery shopping either. It's a necessary evil in my life. The other thing I wanted to chat with you about is food guilt. There's no time for that. No one's got time for food guilt. The focus should be on, if you enjoyed it, you ate it, you owned it, move on. And I would just always play it, instead of the guilt, think about playing like CSI. So, you see the wrapper or the pie tin or whatever it is laying there on the floor. And you say to yourself, what caused that? Was it an emotional thing? Was it just like, it was just sitting there and I just needed to have it? Like, what caused it? So that when that urge comes over you again, is that something that you're going to want to give into? Is that something that you're going to be like, I'll know what that feeling is, so I know that I won't reach for food? Figure out what that is all about. And I'm not saying that you should never have a treat. That's just insane. What I'm saying is, when you rely on willpower, it's like a battery. I just came back from my mechanic. I drive 300 miles a month. Seriously, 300 miles a month. That doesn't give my battery enough time, enough charging cycle time. So because of that, I have to put that battery on a slow trickle so that I can start my car on a cold day. So that's how willpower works. So some of you, if you are always relying on your willpower, you're always knocking on the door, willpower is going to be like, dude, come on in. I don't have the energy. I don't have the capacity to turn on for you. Where if you start to figure out, when you are like emotionally eating, when you are stress eating, what those stressors are, what those feelings are, you can start to move around them with something other than food. And the other thing is, there's no extremes. You know, there's none of this, oh, I'm going to like cleanse or detox or anything for a week, and then everything's going to be great. Everything's just going to be like, have you ever seen the movie Pulp Fiction? And if you look in the Pulp Fiction box, and like the sun glows, it's not going to be like that. No. When you deprive yourself, when you go on these like extreme things, the only thing that happens is you feel deprived. You feel pissy, you feel bitchy, and no one wants to be around you. And then once you've kind of come off of it, what are you going to do? You're just going to like binge eat. And so instead of that, figure out, you know, where are the extra nibbles in your diet? And we all have them. I'm a nibbler. I am a notorious nibbler, and I know that about myself. But I know that there are certain nibbles that I need to pull out if I'm going to hit my goals. So tracking is another one to have you have those nibbles. And no starving. You know, you shouldn't go from, you know, full to starving. There is that like sweet spot of knowing when you're full and when you're starving, because when you're starving, you don't make sound decisions. You know, they don't call it hangry for nothing. You know, so it's like when you're hangry, it's like you will eat your arm because you're that hungry. There's like anything will satisfy you when you're hangry. So, you know, wrapping it up, the reason why I don't do the meal plan is because I want you to be sufficient on your own. I don't want you to rely on, I want you to become your own expert. My goal is when I work with my clients is for you to outgrow me. I want us to work together. You learn everything that's in my head. You can apply it to your life and to your situation. And then you don't need me. You're like, hey, good. Hey, girl, I'm good. Thanks for the lessons. And when me just handing you out meal plans, me just handing out workouts, it doesn't teach you how to be self-sufficient. It doesn't teach you how to break up with dieting, because dieting sucks ass. And I want you to be able to go to a restaurant, sit down at Thanksgiving dinner, and it's not a big freaking deal. I just want you to be like, hey, it's Thanksgiving. It's just a meal. What's up? And that's how I want you to roll through your whole life. Like, it's just a meal. What's up? I know how to eat. I know what works for my body. The end. Moving on. I'm not giving food power. Food has no power over me. That's one of the affirmations that I give a lot of my clients. Food has no power over you. Food is just fuel. The end. Food tastes great. I love food. I'm never going to knock it. I'm never going to tell you not to eat it. I'm just going to talk to you about quantities and quality of the food that you take in. So hopefully that has answered any of your questions about what meal plans and all that good stuff. So what I have done, I put together 10 workouts for you guys, just like they're quick, easy, to the point. What I'll do is I'll put the link in. I'll put the link in, and it's 10 workouts you can do anywhere. No equipment, and it takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to do. So it's a great for this time of year when we all get a little busy. But I will be back next Wednesday for another chat with you guys. And if there's ever a topic you guys want to talk about, usually I just, you know, pick something that I feel throughout the group. If there's something you ever want to talk about, please let me know. If you guys have questions who are on live, absolutely type them into the box and I will answer them live. Or if you have any questions, I'll monitor this for the next few days and just answer any questions that you might have. My goal is just to keep this as short and to the point as possible, because I know you guys have busy lives. It might be tubby time for some of my mommies. And I will talk to you guys next week. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I'm always here for you guys. Talk soon.